So last weekend, me and my older sister, we took my daughter and her daughter to the Children's Museum. It was this place where kids can go to have fun. They had bubble machines and puzzles, and they can build things and things like that. As soon as we stepped in, my daughter's eyes lit up. She saw a whole bunch of things, interesting things that she can do. A lot of fun things that she can do, and a lot of things that she knew in her mind, she was already picturing she can enjoy. She saw a lot of kids playing and kids swinging, and there was kids doing puzzles and shadow puppets and things like that. And so she was pretty excited, and she was looking at me saying, Dad, Bobby, can I go? And of course, me being the way that I am, I told her, yeah, you can go. But there's only one rule. The rule is, I told her she can do whatever she wants to do, just as long as she doesn't do anything that can hurt her or people around her. And then she was off to the races. She went everywhere. She did any and everything. You can tell that she was having a lot of fun and she was enjoying herself. Huge window of freedom, very small window of restriction. Huge window of freedom being that she can do whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants to do. The small window of restriction is that she can't do the things that can hurt herself or others around her. And I think that's a pretty fair rule. Now in the middle of the place, there was this 4-foot or 5-foot tower. It was a tower of mirrors divided into sections, and it supposedly, when the kids go there to look at themselves, it kind of gives you an illusion. So my daughter saw the tower, and she saw a little boy climbing up and down the tower. And immediately she looked at me and said, "Can I climb the tower?" Now remember, the rule was she can do whatever she wants just as long as that activity doesn't potentially hurt herself or others around her. Climbing a 5-foot tower of mirrors can potentially hurt her and other kids that's around the area. And so I said no. And then she was looking at that little boy going up and down the tower and how much fun he's having. And immediately her mood changed. She kind of got mad, frustrated at me. So seeing that little boy smiling and having fun going up and down the tower gave her the perception that I was a very restrictive dad. And so because she had that mind state towards me, and that she didn't understand why I said what I said, why I was trying to restrict her from that, she immediately started getting frustrated. She threw a little bit of a fit, and she thought I was some kind of tyrant. This situation kind of reminded me of Adam and Eve and the mistake that they made. God told Adam and Eve, out of every tree in the garden, out of every tree, you can eat whatever you want. But this one tree, don't eat out of it. Because the day that you eat from it, you will die. Now notice God didn't say, I will kill you. He said, you will die. Huge window for freedom. Out of every tree you can eat. Small window of restriction. One tree you cannot eat from. And of course later on, here comes the enemy trying to make the tree desirable. Like it's something to desire. And what did he ask Eve? Did God really say this? Did God really say that? That's not true. You will not surely die. Because God knows that in the day that you eat from it, this will happen. You will know, you will be like God, knowing good and evil. The enemy made it seem as if this little small window of restriction, this tree, this one tree of restriction, was the bigger window of freedom, and that the big window of freedom was just a tiny small window. The enemy was trying to say that God is a liar. You will not surely die. He was trying to say that God was also restrictive. He's only trying to keep this tree away from you because he doesn't want you to get that power of knowing good and evil. And of course, in Eve's mind, you can almost imagine what's going on in her mind. Well, if God really is a liar and I really won't die, and God really is restricting me from taking and eating this fruit from this tree because he's trying to keep me away from the power the knowledge of good and evil. Because she had that mind state towards God, then she rebelled. And then she said, I'm going to take this fruit and eat it. The taking the fruit and eating it, it's not the sin. That's just the end result. The sin is not knowing God's character, not having faith in God's word, not believing God's words are true. Same thing with my daughter. Because she thought I was trying to cut away her freedom, then she began to think that I was restrictive and that I was just trying to keep her away from her fun, when really I was only trying to protect her from hurting herself and hurting others. But when she thought that about me, she started to rebel. She insisted in going up and down, climbing up and down a tower. Because Eve started to believe in a different picture of God, a different character of God, then she took the fruit and ate it. But that was not the sin. Jesus said, you've heard them of old say, thou shalt not kill. But if you hate your brother, you've already committed murder in your heart. Sin starts from here. Sin starts in here. If you have the wrong picture of God, of course, the end result is sin. If you believe in the words of the enemy, of course the end result is sin. Because Eve believed in the words of the enemy, that God is restrictive, God is only trying to keep her away from her freedom, of course the end result is taking the fruit and eating it. Even though God was only trying to protect her from death and trying to keep her in the boundaries of eternity. And that's what God is trying to do with us. A lot of us don't understand God's character, don't understand why God would say this and God said that. But if we only believe and we only understand God more and we only spend more time with our Father, and we start to realize that He's trying to protect us and He's trying to keep us in the boundaries of eternity.